Sorry for the mess here. I had to borrow my wife's sewing table because my workbench is full of logo parts. But I got to the part of the Logo 700 build where you insert the torque tube into the boom, and the manual shows that the come into focus for you there, the 60 millimeter end of the boom, where you have the bearing is 60 millimeters from the end of the shaft, not from the end of the spline, should go into the chassis. And then also on the boom itself, there is a hole on one end that's 39 millimeters from the end, and the other one is 22-ish. It doesn't show in the manual, at least not on this page. So what some people are saying is that you should think about putting the 100 millimeter end of the boom in first, because what that does is it allows, I've only got one hand here, so hold on a second. Here's what the torque tube looks like inserted with the 100 millimeter end in. And I haven't put the end yet on the support rod, but if you imagine that the link is about that long, and you see where the boom clamp would be, it would be right about in the middle of that 230 millimeter gap between bearings. So that would be better because you're not clamping down too near, clamping down on the boom too near one of the bearings. So now I'm going to reverse it and put the 60 millimeter end in first. I've painted on there 60 millimeters, this is the 60 millimeter end. And if we sort of imagine where the link is again, down here, and go out to the boom, you know, it's not clamping right down on top of the bearing. In fact, it would probably be in the middle. But these two bearings here are much closer. If I look in the manual, I think that's the 140 millimeter space. So if you were to clamp in between the 230 millimeter space with the booms, it wouldn't put as much pressure on the bearings. But the only other thing I noticed that you might want to think about is, you know, that 60 millimeter bearing spacing right there is spaced perfectly so that this tail box end of the body clamps down around the boom. So if you flipped it, you wouldn't have, this wouldn't be clamping on anything. I mean, it would clamp on the boom, but it wouldn't be adding any internal support to the torque tube. So, I don't know what I'm going to do. I may just go by the manual. It's not that hard to flip it around if you change your mind and find that you're getting some binding. But, you know, not a lot of people have kits yet. And since I got to this spot, thought I would take a quick video and show what everyone's talking about with flipping the boom direction around.